Two-night and Best Western was fun. Now we're heading to Universal Studio, and then where are we going? San Francisco tonight? San Francisco? Where? San Simeon.
Missed the parking.
I did?
Yes.
It says turn left. Oh, back
Turn
there.
right, then you will arrive at the
Harry Potter's castle.
We are in Warner Brothers Studio and security.
This is just more information about Warner Brothers before you.
Oh, look, we're getting a tour. What is this? A Jeep tour? There's Fran. There's our driver. There's Fran.
All right, gang, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
My attention to ask a question. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Four. We're going to spend the next 60 minutes together as we explore the various backlots and outdoor exterior locations, but they don't necessarily want to deal with the hassle of going out into the real world to film, to do what we like to call on-location filming. They can come to one of our 7 different backlots that we have here at Warner Brothers. Now, this is the first of our 7. Now, this is arguably our most unique backlot area, gang. Welcome to the jungle, where we have fun and games. Now, what makes this jungle backlot film? This cabin was actually probably featured in a number of different episodes, most notably Season 4, Episode 2. Although you might not recognize it because it's not on fire like it was in the episode, where we saw Lucifer walk out of that doorway completely engulfed in a fireball, but of course he's okay because he's the devil. But it's been seen on other shows like The Mentalist, Shameless, Pretty Little Liars, what played notable locations on that series like The Lost Woods Resort, Noel's Cabin, Ezra's Cabin, but it's probably most famous for playing Merlotte's Bar and Grill on the hit HBO vampire drama True Blood. It's Skull Island for our MonsterVerse films like Godzilla vs. Kong and Kong Skull Island. It also played real forests and jungles in films like Collateral Damage and Eraser, both starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, family films like The Goonies, A Little Princess, Looney Tunes Back in Action, and even comedies like Get Smart and Hot Shots Part 2. The road down to my left I like to call Walton Way, because at the end of the road is where at one time we had the house from the iconic sitcom The Waltons. And this little intersection we're in right now, if any of you are fans of the hit series Gilmore Girls, you might recognize this as where a deer hit Rory's Jeep when Rory was on her way to Chilton Academy during the first season when she was running late for Mr. Medina's English Channel. English midterm. Now, as we're driving down this road, you might be thinking to yourself, Tyler, must go faster, must go faster. Well, gang, your instincts are correct, because we are driving through Jurassic Park. Yes, this is where director Steven Spielberg filmed the iconic T-Rex chase sequence in the movie, when Dr. Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum, is laying in the back of the Jeep screaming, must go faster, to Dr. Ellie Statler and Mr. Muldoon, who are driving out front as they're being chased by the T-Rex through Jurassic Park. Now, most of Jurassic Park was actually filmed on location on the island of Oahu in the great state of Hawaii, specifically at a place called the Kualoa Ranch. Kualoa is a type of set that make up our backlots. This is what we like to call a facade. Now, facade is a French word that means false space. Now, this is a type of set that we can only film the outside of. There's no room to film inside any of our facades. In fact, this facade is so thin that if those front doors were open, we'd literally see through the house into the back lot next door. This particular house is probably most notable for playing Alison De Laurentiis' house on Pretty Little Liars. And again, coming up on our right, television. Now, our lagoon typically will play a different type of body of water, whether that's a pond, a lake, or even the ocean. It played a pond where you would have found Kermit the Frog filming his famous Rainbow Connection musical number from the 1970s Muppet movie. It's also where you would have found Porky and Buckwheat fishing on the lake in the beginning of the film The Little Rascals from 1994. Yes, this is the lake where you would have found Porky and Buckwheat fishing in the beginning of the film. But it's also even played the ocean. If any of you saw Free Willy 2, The Adventure Home, this was utilized, our lagoon here was utilized as the ocean in close-ups for that particular film. Now we're looking, right now this cabin is playing Spencer's dad's cabin on the hit CW drama All American. It's most famous, of course, for playing Ira's Roadside Diner in the Academy Award-winning film $1 Million Baby. The greatest production that ever used the cabin, though, it was a killing cabin from the final season of the original run of the killer Showtime drama Dexter.
You like that, right?
Well, gang, we are leaving the wilds of the jungle and we are entering modern suburbia. Welcome to Warner Village, built in 2004. Now, prior to this being a little slice of suburban heaven, this actually used to be a western backlot town called Laramie Street, where where we filmed some of the most iconic Western television shows and films of all time, including the first ever Western television show to air on American television, a series called Cheyenne, that aired from 1955 to 1963. Other Western television classics included Rawhide, Bonanza, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., as well as some classic Western films like Wild Bill, Wyatt Earp, Wild Wild West, and my favorite, Mel Brooks' immortal comedy, Blazing Saddles, all filmed right here on Laramie Street. However, very sadly, by the late 90s, early 2000s, Westerns were on their way out. They weren't as popular as they once were, so we made the very difficult decision to knock down Laramie Street and we put up Warner Village. Now, while these all look like houses on the outside, friends, these are all actually production offices on the inside. So think of these as mini office buildings with house shells around them. Inside each of these houses are the individual offices and cubicles belonging to the crew members on our various television shows that film here. Television is very much our bread and butter these days.
What?
It's the most common, regular type of production that we have here on the lot. Not too many movies come here to film in their entirety at the Burbank studio, all that much anymore. In reality, this building is an HR, payroll, and finance department for the studio, but this building has been seen on screen in quite a few productions, mostly the outside. Now, because of its very modern look and modern aesthetic, most of our productions will utilize the ridge building here to play the outside of different high-end businesses, shopping malls, fancy boutiques, fancy restaurants, tech companies, pharma companies, but it also has a habit of playing police stations, hospitals, airports, and even college universities. For example, right now you can watch it playing the outside of John Nolan's police precinct on the hit ABC police procedural drama The Rookie. And recently, now gang, here at Warner Brothers, we have 7 different backlots. Now we've seen 2 of them. We've seen the wilds of the jungle and of our jungle. Now we've seen our little slices of heaven back in Warner Village. Now next up, gang, we're actually going to all hop off the cart. We're going to go on foot exploring arguably our most iconic backlot area and actually our busiest backlot area. This backlot area has been seen, this next backlot area has been seen more films and television shows than any other backlot here at Warner Brothers. Now, we call it Midwest Street, aka Anytown, USA. Why do we call it Anytown, USA? Because, my friends, it's been a lot of different towns over the years in a variety of films and television shows. What films and television shows? Well, to give you a little taste, let's find out. Draw your attention to the screens ahead of you and above you. Take the tour at Warner Brothers. Now, I imagine most of you are here, if not all of you are here, because you love film and television, and you're hoping to see something associated with your favorite films and television shows. In that case, friends, I'd like to know Mike Seaver's house on Growing Pains, a very iconic sitcom from the 1980s, Lost Boys. But this church is also very notable for having been featured in a number of classic and iconic films as well. Probably most notably, it was where Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. enacted their final con in the original Ocean's 11 film from the 1960s. It was the right-hand side played the high school. The left-hand side played the elementary school. So 3 different locations on the show, same actual set in real life. Yes, absolutely. This side we have over here on this one side of Midwest Street, we call this the business side of Midwest Street. Now these are mostly facades over here on this one side. The business side of Midwest Street was actually originally built for a 1940s film called Saratoga Trunk, starring Gary Cooper. Many of the facades here on the business side are very famous, having been seen in a variety of productions. Probably most notably, the red facade with the checkered windows over there, Rosewood High School. So 2 different locations on the show, same actual set in real life.
You would never know that.
Right?
Why the front
Like all
says
these,
Bower Hall from a young Sheldon film. Look at the front of the Seaver house, you can see that it's been dressed up as a fraternity. One of the biggest dramas and films here on the lot is the hit series All American. And this has been transformed into one of the fraternities featured on that series. You can tell it's a fraternity because we have some lovely kegs right up here on the front porch. Yeah. So yes, the outside is dressed as a fraternity, as well as the inside is partially dressed. As you can see some house. We call this the Gilmore House because this played 2 different houses on Gilmore Girls. The front here we see here played Suki's house, played by Miss Melissa McCarthy on the series, while the backside played Lorelai and Rory's house. And last but certainly not least, over to the right, we have the Phoebe house. We call it the Phoebe house because it played Phoebe's dad's house on Friends, where she met her half-brother Frank, played by Giovanni Ribisi on the series. Much like our courthouse and our church, our Phoebe house also has 3 different faces or sides to it, meaning you can play 3 different houses at the same time. So while Friends was using the front as Phoebe's dad's house, the Drew Carey show was using the right-hand side you see over there with the porch as Drew Carey's house on the Drew Carey show. Okay, Rory's house, start snapping away. Pictures, pictures, pictures. And of course, if anyone needs help with a group photo, please let me know. I'm more than happy to assist. Ask that, everyone just be respectful, of course, including myself. Please, don't yell, don't scream, wave. Feel free to wave at them if you like. But basically, the rule of thumb is they have to start the interaction. If they come up to us, if they come up to talk to us, interact with us, we can, of course, interact back, but they have to start that interaction. Other than Butch Cassidy, his greatest role, in my opinion, was as Luke in Cool Hand Luke. Well, this is where he cut off the heads of the parking meters, right here in the beginning of the film, where we built a fake median straight down Midwest Street. We had parking meters set up. He's cutting off the parking meters when the cop car comes around that corner, and then he's arrested for cutting off all the heads of the parking meters. That was all right here. Also, by chance, if I have any fans of the show about nothing, also known as Seinfeld, Midwest Street here played the 1990s, starring Tina Kane and Terry Hatcher. That was a show that dominated my show.
Yeah, TV show.
Yeah, in fact, a great rule of a great exercise, if anyone would like to, if anyone subscribes to HBO Max, the entire series of Lois and Clark is on HBO Max. From the beginning of his most iconic film, Rebel Without a Cause. Yes, this is where he was hauled up for drunk and disorderly in the beginning of the film. Yeah. If you'd like, you can hop on out and take a picture with him.
You guys
You want to hop on out and take a picture with us?
Definitely.
Go for it. Now, this facade was originally created for the Fuller House television series, which was a Netflix original series. They filmed all 5 of the seasons here at Warner Brothers. They didn't want to have to fly the cast and crew back and forth between San Francisco, where the real Tanner House is, and here, so they just decided to build their own right here on the edge of Midwest Street. Now, this next little area we're going to be passing through, we like to call French Street. Now, we call this area French Street because the last remaining set from arguably the greatest romance of all time is still here. The 1942 and our second Best Picture winner film, Casablanca. Over on the right, Cafe Tabitha, that was Cafe Pierre. That was featured in the flashback sequence of the movie when Rick and Ilsa, played by Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, discovered that the Nazis were marching on. This was originally built as the toy store for a little family film from 1998 called Small Soldiers, starring Kirsten Dunst. But it's probably most notable for playing Cafe Sur La La in the musical La La Land, starring Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. Last major production to have used it was Fresh Tart, a bakery that Love opened up in the 30s. We have a very famous and iconic fountain. Yes, my friends, your eyes do not deceive you. That is the one and only Friends fountain. It's seen in every opening credit of the series. Now, this might seem like a silly question, but I'll ask it anyway. Would anyone like a picture with the fountain?
Yes.
Yes. Take a picture of something they don't want to.
My camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, please remain seated for just a few more moments. Couch when I drop you off at the second part of your tour, also known as Stage 48. And I'll explain what that is a little bit later on. But for now, we'll go one group at a time. Of course, I can help with group photos if you'd like. So if you'd like. All right.
We're on French.
Friend's couch. Friend's couch.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
And whatever that is at the back, we don't know yet.
Oh, yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the couch. 1, I'm gonna blow one up.
There you go.
Feeding the squirrels. He names them all Lola after a character from his favorite musical, Damn Yankees. Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. So yes, very hungry. So like I was saying, gang, Marvel utilized this area to play Korea for Avengers Age of Ultron. They surrounded the entire area with green screens and digitally transformed it into Korea for the film.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So we have 2 other backlot areas that flank either side of our Central Park backlot area. First up, we have our courthouse. That in reality is just storage warehouse for director Clint Eastwood and his production company Malpaso Productions. Before that, it was actually a dance studio for actress Debbie Reynolds of Singing in the Rain fame. It's been around. The courthouse has been a part of Warner Brothers since the 1930s. When you will see the courthouse playing the Gotham City Hall of the Gotham City Police Headquarters in every opening credits. When you see the Batmobile pulling up in front and Batman and Robin hopping out and running up the steps. Well, I don't mean to burst anyone's bubble, but that's not really Batman and Robin. That's not Batman actor Adam West. That's not Robin actor Burt Ward. Those are their stunt doubles. back in the 19th backlot area. Now we call it Embassy Court because, well, we feel it looks a lot like an embassy. In fact, it played every embassy ever featured on the Zachary Levi show Chuck. But currently the courtyard area is playing the Jacob Bistro for All American. But at one time it was part of Chilton Academy for Gilmore Girls. It was Radley Asylum on Pretty Little Liars. It was Daddy Warbucks' Mansion in the 1982 musical Annie, starring Albert Finney and Carol Burnett. And my favorite, it was the morgue in the Abbey from the greatest television show of all time that no one's ever heard of, called Pushing Daisies. And the right-hand side of Embassy Court, right here, Warner Brothers, and that played the Beatles Hotel. I Want to Hold Your Hand is actually a fictional biopic about area. And in the middle of our Chicago backlot area is the one and only Abbott Elementary set. Abbott Elementary is a newer sitcom. It's only been on for a single season.
I saw that too.
They're
It was
currently
good.
filming their second season.
Right here.
They're currently filming their second season. And this is where they built the outside of the Abbott Elementary School set. What's really cool is that the front doors are open and you can actually see
Look at
into
that.
the
Yeah,
set.
it looks
Of
like
course,
the-
we have that little picture there called Forced Perspective. It's really eerie when you drive by it. It looks, it's like moving with us. It's so
It's
spooky.
coming up on your side. Take a picture of it, okay?
Now, Dave, this
Inside
is
your
just
door.
a facade. We can only use this for outside filming, and of course, we built a little set on the inside so that the actors can actually walk through those doors, and the doors can close behind them. But there's no actual filming happening inside this particular set. It's just a facade. But this gang is actually a great example of what we like to call a dressed set. All the physical elements you see on this very big facade are all of the physical elements here. These are all a result of our set dressers. They're the ones that have all the little details and elements. The special effects for the early 90s were cutting edge. So they had a lot of their budget went towards special effects. The show only lasted one season because it was way too expensive to produce. But that was originally the Central City Police Department. But it wouldn't be the only superhero city that utilized it. About a year later, director Tim Burton would utilize that as the Gotham City Hall of Records in the Batman film, Batman Returns. That's where the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, discovered that his real name was Oswald Cobblepot. Now, appropriately, next door to Chicago is New York. Yes, this is New York Street. Now, New York Street here is actually one of our oldest backlot areas, dating all the way back to 1930. It was actually originally built for gangster films. In the early days of cinema, most studios were known for one type of film. For example, Universal was known for its horror and monster films like Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. MGM was known for its musicals like Wizard of Oz, Singing in the Rain, Meet Me in St. Louis. Well, we were known for our gangster films. So the likes of Humphrey Bogart, James Cagney, Edward G. Robinson, we walked these very streets in movies like Public Enemy, Little Caesar, and even one of the greatest film noirs theater. Anytime a character in a film or television show has a film premiere, this is often the theater that our productions will utilize. For example, on Friends, this is where Joey had his big film premiere. You might remember when he invited Chandler and Chandler fell asleep during the movie. It was right here. It was also where Judy Garland's character had her film premiere in the 1954 film A Star is Born. Time, I filmed almost exclusively here at Warner Brothers. The 1994 film The Mask, filmed right here at Warner Brothers. Well, this intersection we're passing through right now, this is where he filmed his famous "My name is Cuban Pete. I'm the king of the rumba beat.
Yes.
I go chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom." Oh, yes, Cuban Pete dance.
Oh, yeah.
Now, most of the
That was a
sets
good
you
movie.
see around New York Street, again, these
Two
are
and a half
mostly
hours long,
facades,
but
and we
didn't
didn't
even
film
think
the
it was
outside
gonna
and
be
the inside. But remember, every single one of our backlots has at least one practical
It was a
set.
shame he
The one
died
and only
at the
practical
end.
set for New York Street is right over here on the left. Right now, this is playing The Hangout on All American, but at one time, this was the Daily Planet on Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. This was the primary bar on ER. This is where Luke and Lorelai had their first date on Gilmore Girls. And my favorite, it was the pie hole, again, on the greatest television show of all time that no one's ever heard of, called Pushing Daisies. Pushing Daisies is on HBO Max. There's 32 sounds, to be precise, and range in size anywhere from 10,000 square feet to 32,000 square feet. Over here to our left is Sense 25, also known as the Big Bang Theory stage. This is where Big Bang Theory filmed all 12 of its seasons. Only rule when we're driving around the front lot, friends, for Warner Brothers family, and she has her own talk show that she filmed here at Warner Brothers. She actually films on the exact same sound stages. At one time, the lovely Miss Ellen DeGeneres cart that will take you to the third and final part of your tour, our action matching exhibit, which means, friends, this is where we part ways. Well, let me just say, my name is Tyler. It's been an absolute honor and joy taking you lovely folks around the lot today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at Warner Brothers.
Friends photo experience.
Oh, this is the
Imagine
friends
before when
set.
Friends started, they used that camera film. Remember that? So long ago. Past your time. By the time the series was done.
What's the look that they give when they're on the same?
It was right over here.
Because